Do you find it difficult to be creative? I do sometimes. I think everybody does. Creativity, making something original or new, creating something, making, is a very, very difficult thing, actually. Um, and is key, is very useful in many kinds of things. In any kind of business, you need to be creative. In teaching, uh, in all kinds of life, and in hobbies, creativity is important, and people talk about it a lot, but there's not often a lot of advice. So I read this book. I found this book on my shelf. I don't know where I got it from. Somebody gave it to me, I think. It's from 2009, so it's a little bit old now, but it's called Ignore Everybody and 39 Other Keys to Creativity. And it's written by a guy called Hugh MacLeod, whose big idea was he started drawing cartoons on business cards, on Meishi, on the backs of Meishi. He would start drawing cartoons, and he became so popular, he actually published a book. I don't know, it's such a crazy little idea. Oh, I think I'll draw some cartoons on business cards. But he became, for a short time, became kind of well known and famous, and sold, I don't know if he sold 1 million copies, but he sold a lot of books based on this idea. So then this book is all about how he came up with ideas and some advice. I think he's an advertising executive. He used to write, making commercials, CMs, things. He's a Scottish guy who lives in America, as far as I can tell. Anyway, he had 40 ideas, and I've just picked out, 5 here that I thought were quite good. Okay, his first one, his main idea is ignore everybody. So he says, when it comes to a great original idea, it's always resisted by others because truly great ideas alter the power relationship. What? What he means is, imagine if you have a really good idea and you tell your friends, hey, I want to do this or I want to do that. Probably your first reaction of your friends is to say, that's ridiculous, that's crazy, don't do that. Because if you have a really, really original, unusual idea, it changes how people feel about you. Like if I say, hey, you know what? I want to make all of my lessons 3D. You might say, I don't want a 3D lessons. No, that's not a good idea, Patrick. No. Right? Or something completely crazy. A truly original idea sounds crazy to people. And so people will say, no, don't do that. Even friends and family, people who love you, maybe like family, if you say, like when I started Tower English, I was working in a newspaper in England, and I suggested to people, I'm thinking about going to Japan and starting an English school with my wife. Some people said, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But most people said, oh, that sounds very risky. Or I don't think you should do that. Because they didn't have that experience. They were all newspaper people. And if you ask a newspaper person, shall I do something else? They'd probably say no, unless it's to do with media. Okay, so the way to do that is if you have a crazy great idea, ignore other people's advice because they don't know what they're talking about. Secondly, the idea doesn't have to be big, it just has to be yours. This person's idea to draw cartoons on the backs of Meishi is not a big idea. Anybody could do that. But it was kind of original. In fact, he's got lots of ideas here. I mean, that's the quality of his cartoons. Not amazing, are they? He's got on here. Nobody cares. Welcome to Nobody Cares. Population 6 billion. Whole world. So it doesn't have to be a big idea. It just has to be your idea. And if you have a good idea, you stick to it and you'll maybe be successful. A kind of opposite idea, the next one, is nobody cares. Do it for yourself. The financial reward may come later, but the creative reward is immediate. Nobody really cares about what you're doing. So if you have a crazy idea, people say, I think that's crazy. Go ahead and do it. They don't really care, generally, because most people are thinking about themselves anyway. Maybe you won't make any money doing something, but even if you don't, you may enjoy doing it. I'm sure when he was drawing these cartoons, he didn't think he would make any money. So he just enjoyed doing it. The next two are kind of similar. Write from the heart. Readers can tell when you don't. That means write from the heart means be very honest. Don't write what you don't believe just because you think it will sell well. Don't do that. Write what you truly believe. It will reach other people. Sing in your own voice. That's similar, meaning do the things your own way. If you try to do it somebody else's way, it will be boring. And he gives an interesting example here. Bob Dylan, he says, do you know Bob Dylan, famous 1960s folk singer? He can't really sing or play guitar very well. And maybe that's why his songwriting is so good. Or another example, J.M. Turner. Turner is the English painter. He painted amazing landscapes and seascapes, just throwing paint. But he couldn't draw people very well. So maybe make your weaknesses your strengths. So even if you sing in your own voice and your voice isn't perfect, there will be some things about it that's great. Wow. So here's 5 ideas, hopefully to help you be a little creative. So 3 questions. Number 1, when do you need to be creative in your life? For me, making English lessons and videos have to be a little bit creative, or drawing, or in my hobbies. How about you? Number 2, what's the most creative thing you've ever done? Oh. For me, painting a picture. I wrote a novel. I don't know. Kind of creative. What about you? What creative things have you done? And then number 3, is it a good idea to ignore everyone when you are thinking of ideas? Shouldn't you listen to what other people say? I don't know. What do you think? Okay, we'll talk about this when I see you next. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can turn this off. Okay. Thank you. Okay, see you soon.